Hello Moonies, and welcome to the introductory episode 0 I guess, of Crystal Cast. This is a show that I'm going to be starting, kind of like a podcast type show, where usually me and maybe some guests and maybe eventually an actual co-host are going to start just talking about Sailor Moon. I need more excuses basically other than just my react videos every 2 or 3 weeks to talk about Sailor Moon. Anything and everything. Sailor Moon Crystal, all the new merchandise that's coming out, the new musicals, even old Sailor Moon stuff if we want to talk about it. Anything we want to talk about, anything I want to talk about, anything my guests want to talk about, we're gonna do it. Anything and everything Sailor Moon. Love. Just spread the Sailor Moon love. That's what I want to do. So, for this introductory episode, just to get you guys a little accustomed to what it's going to be, basically what I want to start doing is, it'll be, basically, I want your questions, your discussion topics. And again, it can be about anything. It can be about Crystal, specific scenes in Crystal, discussion topics that people have been talking about Crystal. It can be the new merchandise. It can be just like I said, just anything and everything Sailor Moon is what I want to talk about. So what I need from you guys is your questions. So down in the comments below, I want you guys to leave me questions and discussion topics on Sailor Moon, anything and everything, and I will pick my favorite and the best ones, ones that I think will make the most interesting discussion topics. And in episode 1, I will answer them and discuss them and talk about them. Pretty easy. Now, I very originally wanted this to be a show, and perhaps eventually want this to become a show just like my video podcast called Guild Gab. I don't know if any of you who subscribe to me have seen it pop up in your feed, but it is basically a show that I do with 1 or 2 co-hosts, and we just sit and talk about all the latest Guild Wars 2 news and updates and the newest patches and episodes and everything. I very originally wanted Sailor Moon Crystal, I'm sorry, I wanted the Crystal Cast to be a show exactly like that. And, upon asking some friends and some people who I knew are super into Sailor Moon, if they wanted to do it with me, pretty much everyone was said that they were camera shy, and they're like, I do it, but I really hate being on camera, and I don't want to do that, you know, and that will just, like, make me nervous. And so I said, okay, that's fine. But basically that has left me, it's left the show being delayed. I actually wanted to start this. I started asking people before Crystal even aired. And because of those issues with coordinating with other people, that's what kind of delayed this. So I kind of switched formats and said, okay, if it becomes that eventually, or if certain episodes of this, I guess I'm just going to call it a video podcast because that's kind of what I want it to be. So I said if I might not do this weekly. I ideally want to do this weekly, and if I'm dependent on other people, it might not get done weekly. So I want to kind of leave it open so that it can be just me answering your questions. So eventually it might get to that point where there's like regular co-hosts or guests or something of that sort, but I want to leave it open so that just me can answer your questions as well. So it's just gonna kind of be a whatever happens kind of thing. So episode 1 is not going to happen without you guys. So I know you guys are filled with tons and tons of questions and stuff you want to talk about Sailor Moon Crystal. Like I said, and the merchandise, and the musicals, and everything Sailor Moon, everything Sailor Moon. You can go back to the manga and the 90s anime if you want. Everything. Anything and everything Sailor Moon. Anything your heart desires. Fan art even. Anything and everything. So that is going to be Crystal Cast. I'm sorry if that was a little all over the place, but I'm excited about this project. I'm excited about bringing you guys more Sailor Moon content, and so this is just one of the ways that I want to do that for you guys. So, it was kind of a coincidence that since I'm filming this video today, I got a message from Omar Roque. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Who got tagged to do a Sailor Moon Crystal tag, which is kind of like a general Sailor Moon tag actually, since it's not really crystal specific. But it's just it's 8 questions about Sailor Moon and kind of how you would react in the Sailor Moon universe. Most of them are, but anyway, I'm gonna do that as part of this inaugural Crystal Cast, rather than this just being this is going to happen. Let me just answer some questions real quick as I catch my breath because I've been talking for a long time straight. So, thank you, Omar, for tagging me and most of the other Sailor Moon Crystal React crew or React. I forget how he put it, but a lot of people who regularly do Sailor Moon React videos, which is awesome. He tagged all of us. So here's my response. Question number 1 is, which Sailor Senshi are you most alike? The one I would say I am definitely most alike is Usagi. I don't usually compare myself to the characters. Like, a lot of people say that they actually, you know, they identify with a character in the series. I don't usually do that, but if I had to pick one, it would definitely be Usagi, because I'm lazy and I'm clumsy and I'm pretty much all those things that she is. I'm obviously a crybaby. I get very emotional. You know, I care about people. I think I have a lot of love and a lot of compassion for people. So I would definitely say I'm most like Usagi, and that's a huge compliment. Number 2, if a talking animal offers you a transformation device, what would you do? In ideal land, I would, you know, take it and accept their mission and do what I have to do. You know, in real life, I would probably scream and run. Any talking animal would probably freak me out, if we're being completely honest here. So number 3 is, which character would be your best friend? Once again, I'm gonna have to say Usagi, because that's pretty much her superpower, as we found out in the last Sailor Moon Crystal episode, or as Tuxedo Kamen told her. She said, your power is bringing out the best in people and making friends and making them feel loved and that they belong. So I definitely think that the easiest person to make friends with would be Usagi, because she'll be friends with anyone. Even reformed bad guys. I mean, she'll turn a bad guy good, a villain good, and then she'll become their friend, because she sees the good in people, and that's beautiful. So definitely Usagi. Number 4, how'd you discover the manga or anime and what made it special for you? I'm not going to go into super detail about this, because I have in multiple videos before, but the short story is, when I was 13 years old, I was flipping through channels before school. I caught like the last 10 minutes of an episode, so it was Sailor Moon fighting the bad guy of the day, and it was just, I don't think I had ever seen anime before at that point, and I think just the way it was drawn, like the maturity, like they were actually, I was used to watching cartoons, you know, that had deformed people. I watched a lot of Nickelodeon cartoons, so you had like Rugrats and Doug and later on Hey Arnold, and a lot of cartoons that had, you know, they were cartoony. Whereas Sailor Moon, it was like dealing with these serious situations, and the proportions were like a normal person, and you know, like anime is, so most of it. So I was it was different enough in that way that it caught my attention, and I said, I need to see this again. And just what happened in the episode was, you know, it intrigued me because it was different. So I said, what is this? And so I set up my tape recorder the next morning, or I'm sorry, my VCR. I set up my VCR to record the next episode and the next one and the next one and the next one, and I was just hooked. It was instant love. It was an instant love of the series. I found out about the manga later. This is gonna freak out some of you super youngins, but when I discovered Sailor Moon when I was 13, I did not, there was the internet, but I didn't know that the internet existed. I didn't know that the internet was a thing. It was just coming into homes. So, and luckily my dad was very computer savvy. So he said, I got this new thing called America Online. You should go on it and search for something. And my very first internet search ever was Sailor Moon. Yep. Because I was obsessed. I think it was actually a couple months after I discovered Sailor Moon that I discovered the internet. So it was a big year for me. So anyway, number 5 is, which do you prefer, the manga or anime version of Sailor Moon? Again, I've pretty obviously answered this in other videos, but my favorite incarnation of Sailor Moon is the original 90s anime. That is my favorite incarnation of anything ever. Any entertainment franchise or thing that exists in the world, the Sailor Moon anime is my favorite thing ever. Growing up, I was beyond obsessed with the Sailor Moon anime. I mean, still am. But like, it consumed my teenage years. Like that, my life was Sailor Moon. And so the first time I watched Sailor Stars, like I got it all at once and I marathoned it. And the last like 8 episodes are like super intense, and like you have senshi deaths and you have, you know, all this crazy stuff going down. It's real dark and real serious. I like bawled my eyes out for whatever, you know, 3 hours straight while watching it. It was so intense, and it was like the culmination. It was the end of the series. It was the culmination of all 200 episodes, and it just like my fangirl head completely exploded when I saw the last 8 episodes. So by far the anime is my favorite. Number 6 is, the enemy appears and attacks the people closest to you. Would you transform and fight, run like hell, or cry for help? Again, in ideal anime land, if I already had powers, if the talking animal from question number 2 had given me the transformation device and I had superpowers, then I would probably try to fight. But in real life, I would probably cry for help. Again, because I'm Usagi. I would probably act exactly like Usagi in episode 1 of Sailor Moon or Sailor Moon Crystal. They're about the same, where she's like, I understand that I have powers and stuff, but I don't want to do this. Don't make me do this. That would be me in all reality. Number 7 is, what's a funny memory from your childhood that involves Sailor Moon? That's an interesting question that I don't hear a lot, and it's one that I'm sure there's a lot. It's one that I had to give a little bit of thought, because I'm not sure if it should say maybe an embarrassing memory from your childhood, at least in my mind. I guess a funny story that I can tell is when I was like the first couple years that I had discovered Sailor Moon, maybe when I was like 14 or so, I got a couple of my cousins who were similar ages, as well as my little sister, into Sailor Moon as well. So when my cousins would come over, we would all play Sailor Moon. And like, my one cousin was always Sailor Moon, my little sister was Sailor Jupiter, my other cousin was Sailor Venus, and once I was Mars until I learned of the outer senshi, and then I was Neptune. And I have this memory I was so, you guys, I was so intensely into Haruka and Michiru, still am, that, so I said, I had the biggest girl crush in the world on Haruka. So I said, I'm going to play Michiru. So when we played Sailor Moon, I was Michiru, and I said, and I would say like Haruka was away on, she was away on like a racing, she was in a like an F1 race, and so that's why she wasn't here with us. And I actually found like a NASCAR race on TV. I like recorded like 15 minutes of it, and while we were playing, I can't believe I'm admitting this on the internet, while we were playing, I would play the tape of the race and watch it and say like, oh no, there she is, she's in that red car right there, I hope she's okay. Like, I hope she, and they're just like, okay, that's nice. Can we go outside now and play with we made this like makeshift little moon wand with like a ping pong ball and like half a bracelet and like a stick from like a fairy wand. And like we made this was before we had any of the toys. And so, like, you know, who was the girl who was playing Sailor Moon said, you know, she had her little wand, and she's like, okay, well, the bad guys have showed up, so let's go outside. And I'm like, no, just one more minute. I have to see if she wins this race. Oh my god. So that's my funny memory from my childhood. And like, I even like right after I did it, I was like, that was kind of dumb. So seriously, you guys, playing Sailor Moon, it was real. It was it was serious business back then. Can't believe I admitted that. Okay, so anyway, the last question, number 8. Which character were you like when you were a child, and which character did you grow up to be more like? That's another very interesting question. Because mostly people just ask number 1, which is which one are you most alike. If I had to pick one, I say that when I was younger and like going through grade school and stuff, I actually think I was more like Amy, in the sense that I'm far from a genius, but I got good grades in school. I usually got straight A's. I was on the honor roll. I did all these extra curricular activities. I was in like the honor society and all this stuff. So I was like the smart girl, and I got made fun of for it. Kind of like Amy, where she was kind of an outcast because she was this smart girl, and you know, people were well, they're intimidated by her. I don't want to say people were intimidated by me, but you know, they were like, oh, there's the smart girl. She thinks she's so smart. She's in all the honors classes, you know, so we're not going to talk to her. And so thus, I was very quiet and I was very reserved. I didn't have a lot of friends. So I think in that way, I was very much like Amy in a lot of ways. But growing up, again, I think I became more like Usagi, where, you know, like I said, lazy, lazy, clumsy crybaby. But also in the fact that I have a much easier time now of talking with people and having compassion for people and seeing the good in people. I wouldn't say I'm anywhere near as outgoing as Usagi, you know, in the contrast, like Amy compared to Usagi. But I'm very, I'm much more aware of other people now, whereas before I was very closed off. And very, like, I was like, okay, nobody likes me, and that's okay. I'm just going to go over here in the corner and do my homework, you know. But now, I am very much an introvert, so I'm still like Amy in that way. But I think that I can recognize the good in people and just be a happy person and then try and make other people happy just by being around me or just by listening to me, just like Usagi. So that's a cool question. Thank you whoever came up with that question, because that's one you don't hear very often, is that comparison, that how you changed over your life. And it's really cool how there's so many, I mean, all the girls are, like all the Inner Senshi especially, they're very similar, but they do have those contrasting qualities and those qualities that stick out about them that you can identify with them. And that's just something that's really cool. And I love that. I like that a lot. So yeah, those were the 8 questions. Thank you, Omar, for tagging me and the other Sailor Moon Crystal reactors for that Sailor Moon Crystal tag. I totally don't have any clue who I'm going to tag. I know I'm supposed to tag someone. So I guess I'm just going to cheat and say I tag all you guys. If you want to make a video or if you just want to answer the questions down in the comments, that would be fantastic. Go ahead and do that if you want to. But don't forget to submit questions for Crystalcast. So episode 1 hopefully will come out next week, and I will answer all your questions and just talk about anything else about Sailor Moon that I want to talk about. I have a couple discussion topics already that I have that I want to talk about, but that will be saved for next week for episode 1. Thank you guys so much if you have watched till the end of this video. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you listening to me, and I appreciate you being interested about Crystalcast. Thank you for the response of it so far, and I will see you guys next week. Alright? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!